Tiger Woods and Charlie Woods. We've got both of the swings here, and we're going to have a little bit of a breakdown of the swings, how they compare, see what similarities there are, and also let's just have a little look at Tiger's swing, see how he's doing after his recent surgery. So Tiger obviously coaches Charlie a little bit, so we can see how some of his fundamentals have bled into Charlie's swing. So I know the camera angles are slightly different, but we can work with that. So if we look on the left hand side, let's just look at the posture. So there's a few things very similar in that posture, very good lines here in terms of keeping that natural curvature of the spine. Hands are going to just sit outside the shoulders like so. If we look at the balance points, look where that elbow crease, armpit crease is, how it's just over the toes there. So very similar in terms of the posture. Tiger is playing a little bit of a cut here, so he's slightly open with his stance, and you can see how his forearms are a little bit open, so we have to bear that in mind. So let's have a look at their takeaways. And this is where I think they're actually very similar. You'll see how Tiger's going to have a little bit more rotation there. You can see how he's really, first move is really rotating those hips back, and you can see how that right knee sort of moves back here. But if we bring Charlie into the same position here, you'll see how both of them, first move is those hands are going to move a little bit deep, so you get a better view of Tiger here, how those hands, they're almost pushing slightly in and slightly down. So this is something that not a lot of people realize, but look at the butt of the club, how it actually works down there initially. Most people think the hands work up straight away, but you can see here how those hands work down and then in. And if we look at Charlie, let's see, does he do the same thing? Yeah, you can see how those hands work down and in. That kind of sets the club there. I know we're totally different positions in terms of the camera here, but you can quite clearly see they're in a very similar position where they've got that one piece takeaway, keeping that sort of triangle here with the shoulders and the arms. You can see how that club shaft is outside the hands and the club head is outside the hands. Now, I can't show you the club head because the camera's blurry, but I can assure you that club head will be parallel to the spine angle there. So very similar one piece takeaway there from both of the guys. So let's just bring them back a little bit further, and you'll see they both don't have a huge amount of wrist set here. You can see how it's quite similar they are in the body motion in terms of they've worked that club in and up, and then hands are pretty much in the center of the chest there. I'd say Charlie's probably a little bit deeper than Tiger, but you can see, look how that left knee is worked in towards the ball. Again, it's similar but different. They've got a nice bit of hip tilt there, both of them, and they've rotated that torso, and you can see how the wrist, they haven't got a huge amount of set there as opposed to some guys. And then if we bring them up a couple of more frames, and we'll just pause them at the top, and then we'll talk through transition. So you see Tiger's got a little bit more of a squat there. You'll see how he's already started to transition. You see that, how he starts to transition a little bit earlier, whereas Charlie's more like an Adam Scott, where it's like more of a smooth transition. So you can see here, very different, the positions here in terms of how the body sort of, Tiger's very much more squat down. He's really loading that torso through it and loading the ground to create a lot of speed. Whereas Charlie, like I say, is a little bit more Adam Scottish, where it's very sort of stationary and pause and then go. I mean, still very good swing. So if we look at the positioning, you'll see, surprisingly, Charlie, being the younger guy, is actually a little bit shorter in the backswing. You can see how Tiger's elbows a little bit more tucked, Charlie's a little bit more out. In terms of the wrist position, Tiger's a touch more flat with that. That's not a very good line there with that lead wrist, whereas Charlie's a little bit bowed, so that's why the club face is a little bit more short. I'm not sure on Charlie's grip. I think it's a little bit stronger than Tiger's as well, which would explain that. And you can see how Tiger's face is a little bit more open than Charlie's. Again, that's not the best line, but you can see how Tiger's a lot more open, and obviously he's playing a cut here as well. So you can see a little bit of a difference there in terms of the arm structure and everything. And now I want to just look at the transition. So you'll see Charlie starts with this, it's more of a modern sort of swing. He'll start with this left knee working out and around, this hip working out and around. This right arm will pinch in, and then that club shallows. Like I say, it's probably more like a Adam Scott what is it, when did he come out in the early days? It's a bit more stationary, where Tiger Woods is a little bit more dynamic. Oh, sorry, with that motion, you'll see how Tiger really jumps down and squats there. So Tiger's a lot, probably tried to not get Charlie in the same position here, because you'll see how much he squats down. Let me clear those lines off. And he doesn't have that sort of shallowing motion, that modern day shallowing. Tiger is a lot steeper there with the hands out in front. You can see how much knee bend he's got there, how much he's really dynamic, whereas Charlie's going to really sort of, can you see that lay down there, whereas Tiger's a lot steeper, which you'll see the difference here in the downswing. So Charlie gets that under a little bit more. You can see here very, very different positions. I know the different camera angles, but I can assure you Charlie's hands are a lot deeper, whereas Tiger's way, way more out in front, touch deeper with that shaft, whereas Charlie's very much more behind it, which again, being younger, will help him hit those little sweeping draws, whereas Tiger's obviously playing that little cut here, which will help. Oh, I mean, look at Tiger though. To say he's had that back surgery, look at that athleticism there. Look how much he's regained his posture. Really, really good there. But you can see clearly Tiger's hands are way more out in front of him there, rather than Charlie. And you'll see this at impact, how Tiger's never been massively open with his shoulders, whereas Charlie's going to be really, really open. So you see similarities in terms of, like, if we look at the body position, in terms of how athletic it is, and they're really using through the ground. But obviously, like I say, you can see how much more those hands are out in front rather than behind with Charlie, which it just helps him hit that shot shape that Tiger likes, that little cut. So let's bring him through to impact. Again, this is where you'll see a big difference. I know they're not bang on the same frame, but you can see how Charlie's much more open with the hips. He's got loads of rotation with the chest. You can also see how his head started moving out. That's something that Tiger hates, how long he keeps his head down. But you can see Tiger's got more of this drive down and then up. You can see Tiger's a little bit more square on with his shoulders. His hips are still open. You can see how both of them, great extension through the arms. Really sort of, they get that bend here and then boom, extend up and out. You can see how they're jumping up and out of it. See how they're both up on that up on that right foot, sorry. You can see Charlie's a little bit more through the heel. But I mean, Tiger, to say he's getting on, he's nearly 50. I mean, it's still an athletic swing compared to his, 15-year-old son. And then let's bring him through. You'll see a big difference here. You can see again how Tiger just keeps his head down a little bit longer. You can see how much more Charlie's rotated through the hip, sorry. And you can see how much through the thoracic spine, how much more Charlie started to rotate his gaze up and out. And then if we bring him a few more frames up, so sorry, let's just bring him back to the same position. You'll start to see how Tiger has to elevate that hip up, and it kind of doesn't work really well around this ankle, so it's kind of like that knee just sort of stays bent like that. It's a bit of a, you can see there, whereas obviously Charlie's not got an injury in that foot, so he can sort of pronate that trail ankle around a little bit more than Tiger can. You can see this in the position, how sort of awkward it looks for Tiger, how he's really kind of, with the ankle being fused, he's got no ability to roll on it. So it's kind of affects him then at the knee joint, and then with his back he has to stand more upright. And you can see that in the exit of the left arm, whereas Charlie can release it a little bit more and stay a little bit more in posture, whereas Tiger has to come up and out of it. But that's just because of his body, and he's doing a really, you can really see that look through, because the ankle is fused. I mean, imagine wearing a boot, how, like a really rigid boot, how that then affects your knee joint and everything. So that's where Tiger has this more like sort of upright sort of finish there, whereas Charlie's going to be more athletic and really wrap it around him, like so. So you can see there are some similarities in terms of kind of posture. That takeaway is very, very similar. In terms of the body movement, the biomechanics, how they both sort of start the swing with that lower body. But you can see there's a lot of differences. Charlie's a lot more rotary, being a little bit younger, a lot more shallower, and I think he's actually out driving Tiger now at 15, which is not surprising considering he's the pup of, or the cub of probably, well, arguably the best golfer ever. So you can see what he's been working on there. It's not a Tiger copy. It's a very, very good action though. I think there's a bit of improvement that could be made. I'd like to see the club a little bit more out in front of him. I think he can get a little bit stuck a lot of the times and get some blocks out to the right and some hooks. But if you've got Tiger as your coach, I'm sure he'll fix that. So you can see there the differences between Tiger and Charlie. I've got a few videos like this if you want to check them out. Please feel free to drop me a comment if you want to ask any questions or criticize even, and like and subscribe.